Welcome to the Fit for Success podcast. Brian Semling is an experienced entrepreneur with over 25 years in business. He is the founder and CEO of Blitz Innovation. He has built several brands such as Brian's Toys, a collectible toy business, to several Amazon FBA brands like Strictly Bricks and Clever Creations. His latest adventure is Rovux, a modern athleisure footwear brand which can be found at rovuxfootwear.com. On the podcast, Brian will talk with other entrepreneurs and social media influencers about their entrepreneurial journey, from what it takes to start and run a business to how they may continue to grow their brands and where they see themselves in their businesses in the future. And now, here's your host, Brian Semling.
Welcome to the Fit for Success podcast. This is Brian Semling. Today our guest is Chovi, a Twitch streamer with over 1,300 followers. Welcome, Chovi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So, Chovi, I'd like you to tell us about your journey in becoming an influencer.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I started out, my hobby was playing video games, and I used to play with all my buddies, and that was in high school and college. And when I was upstate for college, my buddy was like, you should start streaming. You know, you're funny, you have you're personable. And I decided to go on the platform of Twitch. I was greeted with a warm welcome with everybody, with my viewers and stuff like that. And ever since then, it's been a pretty good success.
Tell us a little bit about Twitch, because that's kind of a newer social media for a lot of people. So tell us a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. So Twitch is a streaming platform for music, gaming, sports. I mean, anything you can think of. There's even live podcasts where you interact with your viewers throughout the podcast. You have guests on and stuff like that. So it's just a live streaming place where the comments from viewers can come straight to you. You have a screen here where it tells you what they're saying, and you respond, and it's very interactive in that way.
Sounds like the key is live streaming, so it's live basically.
It's all live,
not recorded. And does that make it a lot of fun and maybe more interactive than if it's live?
It's definitely super interactive. It's good to see what my viewers want to see, what they don't want to see. You know, sometimes I'll be playing a game, they're like, I don't play that game, play a different game or whatever it may be. So it's fun to interact with them like that.
So what type of games do you play?
I play, so FPS is also known as first person shooters. They're like Call of Duty. I also play like open world games like Escape from Tarkov, GTA. Some of like the mainstream games like Minecraft, Fortnite, stuff like that. Sometimes I play those. I've also been sort of changing it up where I just talk to my audience and we just have a discussion, topics, whatever we want to talk about. That's how we go about the streams recently.
On specific games, you ever play Star Wars Battlefront?
I have. I didn't play a lot of it, but I played it. It's a lot of fun, actually. I have a good time with that one.
So I have an 11-year-old son named Eric, and he plays a couple games, but primarily one game, and it's Star Wars Battlefront, which he's been playing for a few years. So he is
awesome.
He's very, very good.
Yeah.
At that game. So what does a typical day look like for you working with social media and your channel? What does a day look like?
So other than, because obviously streaming is, you block off like 3-4 hours where you're dedicated to live streaming that game or whatever you're doing. Other than that, it's pulling content from that stream, like to put on TikTok, put on YouTube Shorts, put on Instagram. I've been working with Adobe After Effects, Premiere, and Photoshop, that sort of Adobe suite, where you're able to create graphics, create videos, edit videos, and stuff like that. So that's primarily what I'm doing, is editing YouTube videos or shorts.
And then posting them to the channel, basically.
The stream, yeah.
The stream, yeah. So tell me some things that people don't know about working with social media. We've talked a little bit about the editing, but what might be some other things that...
I think it might be the consistency, because when it comes to, like you could stream every day, that's fine. But branching out into other platforms is probably the key thing to understand and go forward with. So you could stream every day, but then if you're not putting up TikToks, you're not putting up YouTube videos, you're not going to be seen by multiple audiences. So you're not going to grow as fast as you would if you were to take advantage of those other social media platforms.
Yeah. So basically, not just you need to be continuously marketing, not just live streaming is kind of the point, kind of cross marketing to the other. Do you focus primarily on Twitch as being your primary and the others are what funnel people to Twitch, or is it a little different than that?
So right now I'm in the process of building my YouTube channel. Twitch has been my main. Obviously, it's forever growing. As if we're not growing, we're stagnant. So when it comes to Twitch, that's what I've been maining for everybody to go to funnel people in. And now I'm trying to branch off into YouTube as well, with Twitch still being a main staple of what I do as a content creator.
Okay. So Twitch expanding to YouTube to kind of do both. So what did it take to grow your social media following? You kind of talked a little bit about doing the promotions and so forth of, off of Twitch. But maybe just stepping back a little bit, like, what were some of those things that you did from day one to get to where you're at now? Any other insights that you have for us?
Yeah, I think for me it was just getting out there and doing it, and doing it every day and doing it for a long amount of time. You got to treat sort of building a brand as any other job, whether it's a 9 to 5 or whatever it may be. You have to view it as, okay, I need to put the same amount of work I would into a typical, whatever it be, 9 to 5, whatever, how that works. So it's sort of just every day waking up, streaming, finding other ways to branch out into other social media platforms and building a presence on all of them at once. I think that's sort of how I started. I started with just doing Twitch, streaming every day. I got a following. The cool thing about Twitch is that you can interact with other and sort of network with other streamers, and they can raid you, send their followers over to you. And then you sort of just build up from there, and they start coming to your channel and saying, hey, this guy's cool, let me watch his content.
Right. Kind of back and forth, basically, and cross promotion in a different way. So how has social media changed your life?
I think if social media wasn't if I just didn't use social media for gaming or whatever it may be, I'd probably just be a gaming hobby. Like, that'd be a hobby for me. But luckily it's allowing me to build a career in this field where I could just create content and play games and use my hobby as fuel to create content for viewers to watch.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's enabled you to take what would be a hobby otherwise and turn it into a career, basically. So
Yeah.
it makes it easier to take your passion and not have it as just your hobby, but really have it as your main thing, instead of going to get a job during the day and then maybe doing this after hours. So
Yeah.
all right. So you went to college for accounting. Has your education with business played any role in your branding? Has it impacted you at all?
I would say so in a couple of ways. One of them is anybody who went to college for business knows they have to take a couple of marketing classes, a couple of finance classes. So when I was taking those marketing classes, I was able to use sort of that advertisement, using social media consistency, stuff like that, for people to see you. As well as when it comes to accounting, I just recently started sort of selling merch. So being able to do that, I need to know the numbers and set up a business in that aspect. I would like to get to the point where I own my own like merch department where I'm able to manufacture and supply and deliver. Until then, I'm using a third-party source to do that. But all of those, with accounting and the language of business, you got to know that in order to run a business like that.
Yeah. So hopefully, kind of put it to some practical use with your, with in essence your current business,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, while on the front end you're live streaming and a personality and a gamer, there's also like the business side of things, which does involve accounting and finance and numbers, basically. So, so if social media disappeared tomorrow, what would you do?
I think it might be wrapped up for my brand, I guess. I'd probably just go back to accounting, to be honest with you. Maybe open up my own business outside of that. One of my dreams is getting to real estate, but that's a whole nother story. But if I weren't to be streaming and playing video games, it'd probably be getting into real estate, seeing what I can do with my accounting degree and pursue that. But
would that be like selling real estate, or would that be more investing in real estate and renting and fixing?
I would try to do both. I know with renting, it's a little bit safe. Like buying in, let's say a 3-family house and then renting that out. It's a little safer than flipping houses in case there's any problems with that. But I'd probably do both if I could. But on the safe side, renting, a little more risky, go into house flipping.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's good to have at least some ideas of things that interest you and that could be, just alternatives, what have you. So, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Um, I don't know if there's like a quantitative like way to like there's no like, oh, I wish I have 1 million followers at this point, in 10 years or whatever it may be. Just to be able to be successful with streaming and perfect my craft with graphic designing, social media platforms, in order to teach others how to do that, how to sort of get into the field of social media and get into the field of being either a streamer, a gamer, or just making your passion your job, making your passion lucrative in that sense.
That's neat. When did you start, by the way? How long has it been?
It's been under a year. So I've grown pretty quickly under the year. It's actually been somewhat overwhelming because I wasn't expecting this to work out the way it does, but I would say about 8 months, probably 6 months steady.
Did you start while you were in school, or are you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. While I was at school, when I wasn't taking tests and doing other stuff, I was streaming on the side time, and I was able to gain a following around like 250 followers. And then when I got back home after school, the summer really picked up.
And is that when you made the decision, like, hey, I want to try this, full time rather than going into the accounting field, see what I can make of it?
Yeah. Well, I realized, like, if it continues to grow the way it's growing, I mean, there's no other option but success, So I was like, I might as well just put some effort into this and see how it goes. And if it doesn't, obviously I have a degree in order to pursue that worst case scenario, but yeah. I don't think there's going to be, that sort of downhill.
That necessary. Well, kudos you for taking that chance, betting on yourself, to go for it basically. And, sounds like things are going well, and good luck with that.
I appreciate
continuing. By no means a social media expert. I've been in business for over 20 years, launched and grown a number of different online brands, from collectible toys to different products and brands that we've sold on Amazon. Just curious if you have any questions you might have for me, any insights you might be that you could use, or
100%.
Any advice that you might be looking for. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Rovox, where fashion meets fitness.
Yeah, no, I'm always down to learn, and continue to learn. And if there's any advice you're willing to give me based on sort of the merchandise side of it, obviously I'm working on my own merch, seeing how I can make that a side business within the creating a brand. I'm assuming you guys had to work when you were working on multiple businesses. You had to create a brand and push a brand, and I'm assuming you have some insight on that.
Yeah. So a couple of things just that come to mind as we're talking is one, and this is more general even than the question that you asked, as you get into something and you start with an idea of what you're shooting for, what your goals are, that sometimes things are different as you get down the path than what you expect. And so just being able to pivot and to, embrace, have your finger on the pulse of your customers, or in this case, your followers, to be able to pivot and go where they're, in our case, with which products or types of products we're working best. And in your case, where you're resonating, most, maybe most closely with your audience, would be some general advice, because it's difficult to know what the future holds. But when you're nimble and able to adapt to, all right, you know what, here's a new trend, it's going great for me, I might need to be able to jump onto that quickly. That's something to kind of keep in mind as far as going to, marketing your products and so forth. So yeah, so we have built, brands over time, and, my original business is Brian's Toys, buying and selling collectible toys, primarily Star Wars toys. And that was where, in a certain sense, I started like you in terms of it being a hobby of mine, collecting toys. And I turned, and that passion for toys extended to become a business where instead of just buying and collecting, I was buying and selling and trying to make a profit. So, that would probably be in some ways similar to what you're doing, of kind of like grabbing onto that passion and trying to turn that into a career, if you will. As far as the the merchandise goes and so forth, I don't have specific insight into like customized merchandise or exactly how to market that. I guess at a general level, I think as you build that connection with your audience, that is, and you come up with, and maybe there's some thoughts that come to mind, and maybe you've done this, but you ask your audience maybe what type of merchandise would you be most interested in? Run some promotions where, they get items either free or maybe at cost or 50% off, with them being kind of your beta testers, your group of people that are helping you figure out what is it that what resonates best, basically, right? I mean, is it a jersey like you've got in the background? Is it
Yeah,
is it
right.
a cap? Is it a polo shirt? Is it some other type of product that goes well with your audience? So reaching out to them and being,
Mm.
involving them in the process to kind of help allow your base to come along for the ride,
Yeah,
and the
right.
early adopters to be the ones that kind of get the best deal. And you may not be able to pay for free merchandise for everybody, but discounts or what have you that kind of help incentivize those people. I think that would be something. And then trying to figure out how potentially those people who really appreciate and love what you do can help you, basically, right? So kind of like asking them, they've signed up for that product, but asking them to go out and spread the word. And I know, like, from my 11-year-old son, who follows different people for Star Wars Battlefront, where my son's really good, but there's people that are world class that are better than him, or
Oh yeah, yeah.
and he's probably in the top 1%, but there's people in the top 10th of 1% or the
Yeah,
top
right,
100th
right,
of
right.
1%.
Yeah.
And and he follows their streams and so forth, and I know how passionate he is. Like, he's like super excited, like, can I spend $5 to, like, donate to XYZ
Hmm.
channel or what have you. And I know that that passion that that fans, that followers can have to legitimately want to support what you're doing. So
Yeah. I think that's why Twitch is such a great, it's a great community, because it sort of pushes people to support their favorite streamers or their favorite content creators or whatever it may be. But yeah, everything you said, I definitely want to start getting into asking viewers, do you guys like this shirt? Do you guys like this shirt? Do you guys want me to sell, short socks, whatever it may be,
right.
I definitely give that a try.
Yep. And they might throw an idea at you that you hadn't thought of, and it's like, could be a great idea. They're not all going to be great ideas, right? But
Yeah.
if you share those ideas and you get enough feedback, then eventually you'll, I think, find the ones that resonate best with your audience. Here, are there any questions that I haven't asked today that you wished I would have asked?
I have a question that could have been asked. It was so obviously with gaming, it seems like it's geared towards younger children in between the ages of maybe 7 to 14. One of the questions that people ask me all the time is, do you feel like there's a stigma when it comes to being a gamer as an adult and sort of being a content creator for that? Because it is a newer thing, right? It's a newer career path, career choice. And I've gotten some feedback from older generations where they're like, what is this? Playing video games to make money. I don't know about all this. And but I always think that's an interesting topic, like to talk about.
Yeah. Well, what do you typically say then? So if that comes up as a question, Showy, this sounds kind of, to maybe a good portion of the population, particularly the, let's say, I don't know, 40 plus, maybe
Yeah.
whatever it is, 50 plus type of crowd. Like, what do you say?
Well, I usually say, I ask them, the first question I ask them is usually, do you watch TV? And if they say yes, obviously I go down the realm of, well, this is also entertainment for younger audiences who can sort of be personable with, and it's even closer because you can interact directly with your favorite streamers because they have that chat option to talk to people.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that, in the before social media, certainly before the internet, media was relatively gated and controlled, right? There
Mm-hmm.
was a few there's a few major networks, and there's, cable TV, and there's movies, but the regular person wouldn't have much of a chance to be really persistent and give it a shot, maybe to get on a local channel of sorts or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty select group of people that could entertain, in essence, the rest of the population. And now it's kind of wide open to everybody giving it a shot and doing their best and to sink or swim basically. But it's a lot there. The gates have been removed and you kind of get to, build that audience and build off of your merit basically. But good analogy to, kind of TV from the, the old days basically, where all right, if you're a consumer of TV, you're consuming media, you like to be entertained, and you may or may not pay for that, whether it's cable or whether it's free, but ultimately there's ads and it's a business and the people on, on these programs are making money. Well, what you're doing isn't really that different from that. At the end of the day, you're going to have advertising dollars, or you're going to sell merchandise, or both. You're looking for revenue streams. Sometimes you might have to be creative, basically, but it's ultimately about building an audience and building that connection with the audience, and that audience supporting you one way or the other, basically, right? Whether it's so, and that isn't different. Now, what it's not traditional. Certainly for
no, not at all.
Was like your grandparents and even your parents, like not necessarily that it isn't the type of thing that they grew up with as even being a possibility. So it's definitely a little bit foreign. But the idea of entertainment, I think that makes sense. I think that's a good a good analogy, and they've all seen TV, so you can kind of relate that back to them. So that's good, and I think that's like a way of demonstrating it as a business and a way to in a way that they can understand that, I think.
At least show it as like legitimate, that there is sort of a production value to this. It's not just let me turn on my camera, let me play video games and call it a day.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, so tell us, as we're wrapping up here, where viewers can find more information about you and find your channels on Twitch, YouTube, and anywhere else.
On most platforms, the ones I'm on right now is Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok. It's all just Chovi_official on all of those platforms.
You want to spell that for us, just so there's no confusion?
Yeah. So it's CHOVI_OFFICIAL.
All right, cool. So Chovi_ official. All right, well, great. So we want to make it easy for people to go and find you. So, Chovi, it's been nice to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I'm Brian Semling, and this is the Fit for Success podcast.